Salmon is one of the most economically valuable fish species, caught mainly from cold seas such as the Arctic and rivers in North America and Europe. To catch salmon, fishermen use many different methods, depending on the environment and time. One of the common methods is to use fishing nets, especially purse seines or trawls. Fishermen often catch salmon during the spawning season. When salmon migrate from the sea to the rivers to spawn, they will place nets in areas where salmon move through, or use fishing rods with artificial baits that simulate natural prey to attract fish. In addition, in aquaculture, salmon are also raised in fish cages at sea and harvested periodically. These techniques require not only an understanding of fish behavior but also modern skills and equipment to ensure sustainable resources. In addition to using nets and fishing lines, another method of salmon fishing is to use fixed fishing stations, especially in rivers or areas with strong currents. In these places, people will build structures such as dams or fish ladders to collect salmon as they move downstream to spawn. These methods require careful calculation of the timing of salmon migration and natural factors such as currents or water temperature. In addition, when fishing for wild salmon, regulations to protect the resource are very important. Many countries have adopted management measures to limit overexploitation, such as regulations on fishing seasons, minimum sizes of salmon allowed to be caught, or limits on the number of fish that can be harvested per day. This helps protect fish stocks and maintain the sustainability of salmon. A current trend is for salmon to be raised in aquaculture farms, where they are cared for and raised in large cages at sea. This is an alternative to catching wild salmon, helping to reduce pressure on wild fish populations and meet global demand for salmon. However, salmon farming also needs to pay attention to environmental issues, such as farm waste and the use of antibiotics, to ensure that the process does not harm marine ecosystems. A major issue in salmon farming is controlling the spread of diseases and parasites. As farms often concentrate large numbers of fish in limited spaces, this can create opportunities for disease to spread rapidly. To combat this problem, salmon farms often have to implement regular health checks and use preventative methods, including the use of antibiotics. Although this is controversial due to the impact on fish quality and the surrounding environment, scientists and fishermen are researching and developing more sustainable methods of raising salmon, such as raising salmon in recirculating water systems, RAS, where water is filtered and reused to reduce pollution. These technologies not only help reduce environmental impacts but can also help improve productivity and product quality. While salmon farming can help meet growing consumer demand, wild salmon fishing still plays an important role in the economy and culture of many communities. Salmon fishing remains a traditional occupation and a major source of income for many fishermen in coastal areas. However, maintaining sustainable salmon fishing requires close coordination between management agencies, fishermen and environmental organizations to ensure that the resource is not overexploited, while maintaining its abundance in the wild. In short, salmon fishing is an industry that combines tradition and modern technology, and sustainable management of this resource is essential to ensure that salmon will continue to be a nutritious food and economic resource for communities around the world. In addition to salmon fishing and farming methods, protecting the fish's natural habitat is also a key factor in maintaining a sustainable resource. Rivers and streams where salmon spawn are often at risk of pollution from industrial, agricultural, and urban activities. Deteriorating water quality, changes in flow patterns, and destruction of natural habitats such as mangroves and riverine sandbanks can all reduce salmon spawning. To address this problem, many countries have implemented measures to protect and restore salmon habitat. Including river restoration, building fish passages around hydroelectric dams, and monitoring water quality. Some regions have implemented salmon breeding and release programs to increase wild fish numbers. These conservation initiatives not only help maintain wild salmon populations, but also contribute to protecting the biodiversity of aquatic ecosystems. These efforts also reflect a global trend toward developing sustainable fisheries, focusing not only on economic benefits but also on protecting resources for future generations. However, maintaining sustainability in the salmon fishing industry is not easy. It requires comprehensive cooperation between government agencies, conservation organizations, aquaculture businesses, and local communities. Only with the joint efforts of all parties can the salmon industry develop sustainably. Protecting this valuable resource for both the present and the future. To implement measures to protect and sustainably manage the salmon industry, one of the important factors is the application of science and technology in monitoring and research. Modern technologies such as fish marking, tracking fish movements through sensor systems, and using drones to monitor spawning areas are becoming increasingly popular. These technologies help scientists gain accurate information about the migration behavior, habitat, and health status of salmon, thereby providing more appropriate protection and management measures. In addition, the development and application of sustainability certifications and standards, such as organic certification or certification from organizations such as the Marine Stewardship Council, MSC, also plays an important role in promoting environmental protection measures for salmon aquaculture businesses. These certifications help consumers identify salmon products that are harvested or farmed sustainably, thereby creating market demand for salmon products that are responsibly sourced and protect the resource. An indispensable challenge is to educate and raise public awareness about the importance of conservation and sustainable fishing of salmon. Communication campaigns can help consumers better understand the impacts of unsustainable salmon fishing and encourage them to choose products from clear and certified origins. This not only contributes to protecting the environment but also helps improve the quality of life of local fishing communities, as they can maintain a stable income from traditional occupations. In short, the sustainable development of the salmon industry requires close coordination between science, technology, environmental protection policies, and responsible actions from both businesses and consumers. If these efforts are implemented synchronously, the salmon industry will be able to thrive without depleting precious resources, protecting the ecosystem and bringing long-term benefits to the community in addition to efforts to conserve the environment and sustainably harvest fish. The development of smart salmon farming models, such as offshore aquaculture, also offers great prospects. These models help minimize negative impacts on coastal ecosystems. Because they are built in deep sea areas, where natural aquatic resources are less affected, These salmon farms use advanced technologies such as automatic water quality monitoring and control systems, which help increase productivity without polluting the surrounding environment. At the same time, researchers are actively searching for faster-growing and disease-resistant salmon strains through selective breeding and genetic engineering. Improving fish strains helps reduce the need for antibiotics while increasing production efficiency. However, these technologies also need to be carefully researched and applied so as not to negatively impact biodiversity or cause unforeseen consequences. In addition, an important part of maintaining sustainability is promoting international policies and regulations. International agreements and fisheries management organizations, such as the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, have issued guidelines and regulations to minimize the impact of salmon fishing on wild populations. These measures apply not only to countries with large fisheries industries but also encourage other countries to participate in the conservation of these important fish species. Along with that, community programs such as salmon reintroduction into the wild also play an important role in restoring wild fish populations. Many areas are implementing projects to release juvenile salmon into rivers that have lost their populations, helping to maintain the survival of this fish species in the wild. Implementing these programs requires the participation of conservation organizations, local communities, and governments, in order to create positive changes in the recovery of aquatic resources. Ultimately, implementing a comprehensive and synchronous strategy for managing salmon resources will not only help protect the environment and ecosystems, but also contribute to improving the quality of life of people, creating sustainable jobs for coastal communities, and providing a nutritious food source for consumers. If these measures are implemented properly, the salmon industry can develop sustainably, contributing to socio-economic development and environmental protection in the future. In addition to environmental protection measures and developing sustainable farming models, promoting community education initiatives and raising awareness of the importance of salmon in the ecosystem also plays an essential role. Education programs are not only aimed at fishermen and those directly involved in the fishing and aquaculture industry, but also at consumers and younger generations. Understanding the life cycle of salmon, the impact of unsustainable fishing, and how to support conservation will help people be more conscious about choosing seafood products from sustainable sources. Strong communication strategies can help disseminate information about sustainability certification programs such as MSC or organic farmed salmon products. As consumers become more aware of the value of environmental protection and product standards, they will become active participants in supporting environmentally friendly aquaculture models. In addition, research and development of salmon products is not limited to fish meat. Salmon products such as salmon oil, collagen, or processed foods from salmon are increasingly popular due to their high nutritional value and health benefits. This is also a potential direction to fully exploit the value of salmon without affecting the number of fish in the wild. Processing and consumption of salmon products can also help reduce direct fishing pressure on salmon, while opening up opportunities for the development of seafood processing industries. Another factor is the need for international research and cooperation in protecting wild salmon populations. Since salmon are migratory and present in many different areas, their protection requires cooperation between countries and international organizations. Transboundary management strategies will help ensure that salmon populations can migrate freely through oceans and rivers without disruption. while preventing overfishing at any stage of the fish life cycle. Ultimately, when environmental protection and sustainability initiatives in the salmon industry are implemented in a coordinated and effective manner, they will not only benefit the fisheries sector but also contribute to the protection of global biodiversity. These efforts not only ensure the sustainable development of salmon, but also create a model for other seafood industries, thereby contributing to promoting global socio-economic development in a harmonious and sustainable manner. An important factor that cannot be overlooked in protecting and sustainably developing the salmon industry is coping with the challenges of climate change. Climate change can directly impact the natural habitats of salmon, changing water temperature, rainfall and river flows, affecting the migration and spawning behavior of this species. For example, changes in water temperature can reduce the ability of salmon to spawn, or prolonged droughts can deplete the freshwater resources that salmon need to spawn. To cope with these impacts, studies on the impacts of climate change on salmon are becoming increasingly important. These studies not only help to better understand how salmon respond to environmental factors, but also provide a scientific basis for developing appropriate protection and management strategies. Researchers can use climate models to predict changes in salmon habitats and develop adaptation measures, such as relocating salmon farming areas or adopting salmon farming techniques adapted to new conditions. In addition, policymakers need to factor climate change into fisheries management strategies, ensuring that decisions about salmon conservation and exploitation are not based solely on current factors but also take into account the long-term impacts of climate change. Legislation needs to be updated to reflect changing environmental conditions, such as regulations on fishing seasons or measures to protect important salmon spawning areas. Another area that needs to be addressed is minimizing the impact of industrial pollution on salmon habitats. Pollutants, including waste from aquaculture farms, agricultural chemicals, and plastic waste can harm the health of salmon and marine ecosystems. Therefore, the implementation of pollution reduction measures, such as advanced waste treatment systems, agricultural waste management, and plastic reduction, is important to protect aquatic resources and maintain the quality of the living environment. Ultimately, for the salmon industry to develop sustainably, the participation of all stakeholders, from fishermen, businesses, scientists, environmental protection organizations, to consumers, is needed. Only when all parties work together can the salmon industry maintain stable and sustainable development in the future, not only bringing economic benefits but also protecting the global environment and biodiversity in addition to efforts to protect the environment and respond to climate change. The development of circular economic models in the salmon industry is also an important step in promoting long-term sustainability. Circular economic models aim to optimize resource use,